Last week, as I mentioned earlier, Startup Canada was in town. Many of us in this chamber actually met with them, and I had the opportunity to meet with who I would consider one of the brightest micro-entrepreneurs in this country, Chad Ballantyne and his wife Sandra, Mr. Speaker. And they talked a lot about the innovation agenda. And I asked Chad, I said, Chad, if you had a couple of minutes to speak to Canadians, what would you say to them, Mr. Speaker? And Chad wrote me a long email, and I'd like to share some of what Chad said. He said, Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister charged his leadership to develop an innovation agenda that includes expanding effective support for incubators, accelerators, and these investments will target key growth sectors where Canada has the ability to attract investment and grow export-oriented companies. Startup Canada would merit a seat at the table when the Advisory Council for the Innovation Agenda is established. Startup Canada, with its vision of an innovation nation, has in place the only nationwide network to support, nurture, and educate entrepreneurs as they launch and build their companies. Startup communities like ours in Barrie, Ontario, are the connective tissue bringing together the entire entrepreneurship community, ensuring the healthy functioning and optimization of an economic and social ecosystem supporting every entrepreneur. Startup also feels that an innovation agenda include the entire startup ecosystem and ensure that it doesn't become too narrowly focused. The agenda proposes pouring investment into a handful of clusters. This is too narrow a focus and limits the investment opportunity to only later stage enterprises and R&D tech sectors, and ignores the early stage startups and service-based companies, which are the foundation of our economic engine in Canada, Mr. Speaker. There's little, if any, funding for these communities in this budget, and companies that are post-R&D, despite their sector focus, they recommend to fund innovation throughout the entire ecosystem and support the more than 150,000 people that are part of the micro-entrepreneurs, the startup communities in this country.